it's Jane here. I'm back up at my own plot after my little excursion last week where I went to visit Rue from Rue's Life, and I spent a lovely afternoon with her, eating cake, drinking tea, chatting about anything and everything, but most importantly having a look around her small holding where she's got gorgeous animals and she grows her own vegetables and everything. So I'll put a card up here. If you haven't seen it, go and say hello to Rue. But what I really should have been doing, always should have, is working on my own plot, because to be honest, well, these two beds, to be fair, these two beds are the worst, and I know what I'm going to do with them, but they need seeing too. It's middle of November. This bed here has, if you can hear some funny noises, it's Rocky in the background, it's not me. This bed here has had onions in, beetroot. I had the onions and carrots doing like a little companion planting thing. They're nearly all up now, although as I'm looking, I can see more. And I've started, as I've been weeding through, I've started covering the bed with cardboard. But then a few weeks ago, our local garden centre was selling so much stuff half price that I had to buy some green manure. Now, again, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be too late to plant it this year, but then two things happened. Usually I think you are supposed to plant way before your first frosts are due. We've already had a frost. Behind you, the dahlias are looking very sorry for myself. That's another thing on my list. But when I came to check today, when I came to check the seed, it actually says on the back that you can plant it, you can sow it outdoors right till February. So it must be quite tough. You can get different sorts of green manure. You can get the lovely Phacelia, which has got the lovely blue flowers on. I think that's more tender, whereas this is quite hardy stuff. But if I show you, sorry, I'm going to have to clamber over the dead marigolds here that haven't been put away yet either. The other reason I'm not going to keep it till next year is if you have a little look here, something is already been helping itself to the seeds. So I think we've got a very happy little fat mouse in our greenhouse where these seeds so every time I move it I keep losing seeds, so I'm being very careful to try and keep that over it. But yeah, so this is going to go in, and this has got really tough seeds in, so it's got ryegrass, white mustard, and what they'll do is they will help that. You know what ryegrass is. I mean, you spend most of your life trying to pull grass out, don't you? Especially the ryegrass. But they're thick, they're tough, and they will make sure that the soil does not compact too much. And then also it says clovers. It's got clovers in as well, which will help to fix nitrogen in the soil. So, for example, if I was going to sow this in here, which I am going to, it'd be a really good place to put my beans next year and peas, because it's going to have that extra nitrogen in the soil. But the most important thing, and one of the reasons I want to use it, rather than leaving this soil bare, because believe it or not, I do think these weeds will die off eventually, it prevents the winter rains and the snows leaching any nutrients from the top of the soil. So it provides them with that protective cover over the top. But one of the first things I need to do, this is the bit I've been putting off, is go through this bed and weed it. And like I say, as I'm looking, I'm not just going to, there's going to be a few little surprise things in there. I think there's a few onions and a few carrots still to come. But yeah, if you don't weed it, obviously these are just going to get mixed up with your weeds. But then again, some of the weeds there, they're providing ground cover. It seems a bit daft, doesn't it? As I'm standing here saying I'm going to plant these things, I'm pulling very similar stuff out of there anyway. Doesn't seem right, does it? I can do it anyway. Not leaving it to the mouse. So yeah, I'm going to do the first half of this bed. I don't think I'm going to get round to doing all of it. I'll put this in and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Okay, this is what I'm dealing with here. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to try and find the onions and the carrots that have been missed and get them out, and then I can be a little bit more gung-ho about getting rid of the rest of the weeds. Okay, just a few little things there, not to be sneezed at. So they could have quite easily, if I'd just gone through and hoed the lot, they could have just all been topped and I'd never have seen them again, but yeah, they're all right. Right, now I've got to get on with that bit. Soil. I don't know if you can see me, I'll get on my hunkers. Okay, so it literally says sow outdoors September to November or through to February. Okay, or through to February if the soil is not too cold and wet. So not really knowing what the weather's going to be like over this winter. You never know who to believe. Yeah, so I'm just in time getting it in November. Make sure broadcast the seed over finely prepared soil. What have I just said? It'll do. Which has already been watered. Again, it's damp. You know your soil's damp if it holds together when you do that. You know, saying that. Look, that's fine. That's damp soil. It's not been out in the sun too much. So yeah, I'm just going to broadcast this. This, actually, it doesn't say how much it covers. 100 grams covers 20 square metres. Well, I've clearly not got 20 square metres here. I've got more like 3. So what would that be? About 1/6 of that packet, less than. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the little hole that the mouse has clearly provided. I'm just going to take a handful and see how far we get. I mean, I'm not even going to, oh, hold on, I've got to do it upside down. I'm not even, just go out the hole. I'm not even going to rake it in afterwards. Just going to leave it on the surface. I mean, if you could see the amount of stuff that's already seeded from that side there. I'll show you this in a minute. Oh, it's all coming out the hole anyway. There we go. Yeah, I mean, it's been that mild that some of this grass on this side is already, it's flowering and it's seeding, which is why the bit of blue tarp that Rocky's lying on there, I'm going to cover that side, like this side, with cardboard, just to suppress those weeds, and we'll see what difference there's going to be in the spring. There should be a nice green stripe of green manure in the middle, and these weeds should have all died down, but we're not going to get it if I don't shut up and start broadcasting the seed. So here we go. I love the word broadcast. Makes me feel like I'm doing something important. Feels like it's going to rain, which would be perfect timing, actually. Try not to stand on the sun. In fact, there's a lovely wind that if I do that, the wind is broadcasting it for me. Now I'm going to need some more I'm going to regret this in the spring, aren't I? You can see it now, can't you? Follow-up video saying, why on earth did I ever bother with green manure? Let's hope not. Right, a bit more. Anyway, let me know if you've used it and whether you've used it and wouldn't use it again. What reasons, what sort of you use, what was the reason you were using it? Because like I say, there's lots of different varieties that can be used for lots of different things. Let me know in the comments below. But I'm standing on the soil as well. I'm creating all sorts of gardening sins. I know someone will point out, I've got the rake and the fork behind me here in a very precarious position, but I promise I'll be putting them away before I go home. Right, you know what? I'm going to use that little mouse hole like a little sieve. There we are. Thank you, little mousey. It's not coming out now. There we go. I'm just filling a few gaps. Whee! Sorry, Rocky. And I think, unless a whole load of pigeons come down now, that's the next thing, isn't it? When everything else is dying off, the birds are going to love this. I suppose you could cover it if you wanted to. But no, I'm just going to sow it liberally. And take my chances. Again. Okay, I think I'm yet to be convinced about green manure. I can see it's got a place. I don't know if this is the place for it. I don't know, it just seems counterintuitive to me to go digging soil that you're trying to improve the soil structure of. I mean, these beds aren't necessarily no dig. Our edged beds at the bottom are, and the polytunnel is to an extent. But these beds we do dig a little bit of, but we tend to top them with well-rotted manure and compost and that sort of thing. What do you think, Rocky? Come here, come here, come and sit down. But yeah, I don't know, I'm breaking up the soil in order to put stuff in to stop the soil compacting. But by the very nature of digging the soil and breaking it up, it's compacting back together. I don't know. Oh, he's off. He's off. That's what he thinks of it. He's not convinced at all. So yeah. And also the fact that I'm digging up, I'm calling it weeds, but effectively it's ground cover, isn't it? I'm digging up ground cover to replace it with ground cover. I don't know. Let me know. It will be interesting in the spring to see A, if it's grown, and B, if it provides, if there's any marked difference in the soil quality or the soil nutrient value. So we'll keep an eye on it. But it's you know what, the seeds are half price. So far the mouse has enjoyed himself. It's got me out and active. Rocky couldn't care less. And he's back. Yeah, I mean, really, it is a good thing to be getting on with in November, because to be honest, here in the UK, or certainly in my part of the UK, there's precious little of the gardening to be getting done. There's a lot of tidying up to do, and there's those garden jobs that get put on the back burner for the rest of the year that need seeing to. So for example, I desperately want to get my compost bins up and running effectively for the next season, because we've got them, we don't use them properly, and as such we don't reap the rewards that we could do if we did use them properly. So yeah, I want to get them sorted out, but it's time, it's weather, it's going dark now. It's probably only about 3 o'clock, so we are quite limited when we can come up. But yeah, let me know in the comments below also what you've been up to this week. Hope you're all okay. Come along to the Facebook group. I know I say this every time, but we have got such a lovely group of people over there. Really supportive, really informative. So do have a little look at the link below and come along there. Instagram, if you just want to look at some pictures. And if I can just ask one small favour of you, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to put a picture on at the very end of the video, just as a little, it sounds silly to say tribute to a chicken, but we lost Mrs. Robertson a couple of nights ago. And, you know, I'd just like you to say, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson, because she was a lovely, gentle old soul. And I promised myself I wouldn't cry, and now I'm patting Rocky far too hard. Yeah. She made us smile though. She's a lovely chicken. I'm gonna go. All right then, folks. Put all your comments down below and I'll see you again very soon. Okay, bye for now.